Think of the last person who treated you unfairly. Maybe it was today. A word that cut, a message left unanswered, a small unkindness you did not deserve and could not explain. And somewhere underneath the sting, a quiet voice rose up in you. A voice that said, "They should not have done that to me." Hold on to that voice, because hidden inside it is one of the most powerful sentences Jesus ever spoke. You already know the rule. You feel its absence every single time someone breaks it. But you may never have heard what it truly means, or how much it is quietly asking of you. In the gospel the church reads today, taken from the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says something so simple that children memorize it, and so demanding that the saints spend their whole lives learning it. He says, "All things therefore whatsoever you would that men should do to you, do you also to them. For this is the law and the prophets." We call it the Golden Rule. You have heard it 100 times. It is printed on classroom walls and quoted by people who have never opened a Bible. And because it is so familiar, it has gone quiet in us. We nod at it. We agree with it. And then we walk back into our lives and forget it before lunch. So let us slow down and hear it again as if for the first time. Notice first how Jesus says it. He does not say, "Do not do to others what you would hate them to do to you." That version exists. It is older than the Sermon on the Mount. In the Old Testament, in the book of Tobias, a father tells his son, "See thou never do to another what thou wouldst hate to have done to thee by another." That is wise. That is good. But notice, it is a rule about stopping. It tells you what not to do. You can keep it perfectly by simply leaving people alone. Jesus takes that quiet, careful rule and turns it inside out. He makes it active. He does not say, "Refrain from harming." He says, "Do. Whatever you would want done to you, go and do it to them. Do not wait to be wronged so you can avoid wronging back. Move first. Love first. Step toward the person before they have earned a single thing from you." That one small change from do not to do is the difference between a life that is merely harmless and a life that is holy. Now hear the strange line he adds at the end. "For this is the law and the prophets." In the language of his time, the law and the prophets meant the whole of God's revealed word, everything Moses had written and everything the prophets had spoken. It was their entire Bible. Centuries of commandments, warnings, promises, and prophecies. And Jesus says all of it, the whole towering weight of it, comes down to this one movement of the heart. Treat others the way you long to be treated. St. Paul would say the same thing in a single breath. Love, therefore, is the fulfilling of the law. Everything God ever commanded was teaching you how to love. And the Catechism of the Catholic Church gathers it up plainly. The Golden Rule, it says, expresses the whole of the law in one human sentence you cannot pretend not to understand. Because that is the genius of what Jesus does here. He does not hand you 1,000 rules to memorize. He hands you a mirror. He says, "You already know how you want to be treated. You know it in your bones. You know exactly how you want to be spoken to when you are afraid. You know how you want to be forgiven when you have failed. You know how you want to be looked at when you walk into a room feeling small. You are an expert in your own longing to be loved." And Jesus says, that longing, the one you carry every day, is your instruction manual for everyone else. This is what makes the Golden Rule so quietly devastating. It removes every excuse. You cannot say you do not know how to love your neighbor. You have been studying the subject your whole life, from the inside. Every time you wished someone had been patient with you, you were learning patience. Every time you ached to be understood, you were being taught how to understand. God built the lesson right into your own heart. So picture it. Not in theory, Picture the person you thought of at the very beginning, the one who treated you unfairly. The golden rule does not ask you to pretend it did not happen. It does not ask you to call the wrong a right. It asks you one honest question. If you were standing where they are standing, with their fears, their tiredness, their wounds you cannot see, how would you want to be treated? And then it asks you to do exactly that. Not because they deserve it, because that is how you would want to be met if it were you. This is hard. Let us not soften it. It is one of the hardest things a human being can attempt, because it goes against the deepest reflex we have, the reflex to give people back exactly what they gave us. The world runs on that reflex. You hurt me, I withdraw from you. You ignore me, I forget you. You raise your voice, I raise mine. It feels like justice. It feels like balance. And it leaves everyone a little colder than before. Jesus is offering you a way out of that machinery. He is handing you the one tool that can break the chain, because someone, somewhere, has to be the first to stop trading wound for wound. He is asking you to be that someone. And here is why this gospel passage matters so much. Read the very next words Jesus speaks, right after the golden rule. He says, "Enter ye in at the narrow gate." He says the way that leads to life is narrow, and few there are that find it. We often hear that and imagine some mysterious test, some secret door. But Jesus places it here, right after the golden rule on purpose. The narrow gate is not a riddle. The narrow gate is this. It is the daily, unglamorous, costly choice to treat the person in front of you the way you would want to be treated, especially when they have given you every reason not to. That is why few find it. Not because it is hidden, but because it is hard. The wide road, the easy way, is to react, to match, to give back what we got. Anyone can walk that road, and most of the world does. The narrow gate is to love first, to move first, to absorb a small unkindness, and answer it with a kindness no one required of you. It is narrow because so few are willing to walk it. But it is the only road, Jesus says, that actually leads to life. So let this be the gift you carry out of today. The golden rule is not a slogan for a poster. It is the whole of God's law folded into something small enough to hold and heavy enough to change you. It is the narrow gate disguised as an ordinary moment. You will be handed that moment before this day is over. Someone will fall short of you. Someone will be cold when you needed warmth, or careless when you needed kindness. And in that exact second, the voice will rise up in you again, the old voice that says, "They should not have done that to me." When it does, do not silence it. Listen to it all the way down. Because underneath, your sense of how you should have been treated is the very map Jesus gave you. You know how you long to be met. Now go and meet them that way. Think of the last person who treated you unfairly. And then, by the grace of God, become the first person who refuses to treat anyone that way again.